Welcome back to the new episode of Building with Grok. This time around we're doing phone optimizations and making it look good. We actually have images for the individual organs, a new custom phone UI which puts the inspector tab at the bottom and allows you to drag it up and down. And besides the actual app improvements, I made improvements with my workflow as I started to use Grok to write GitHub issues to plan for future updates. If you didn't know, Grok has a built-in GitHub tool which allows it to connect directly to your GitHub and work on your projects, which I found extremely useful for just capturing ideas while on the go. The best thing is, you just need your phone. Anyways, let's get into it. Let's start making it look good. I did actually get Super Grok because, as you saw in the last video, using the API is just not worth it. And also, for some reason, I have already used 20%, even though I did not. I assume that is just from the free trial. You can see I'm telling it to take a look at the GitHub issues which I have created previously, and telling it to start implementing them. In total there is around 12 issues, but the most important ones are the number 1 and 2, which deal with the actual images and the phone UI. Also, one really amazing thing with the workflow of just telling it to write GitHub issues is that it can actually check your code before writing anything in the issues and make sure that everything you suggest is actually easy to implement and the best option to do so. This should actually decrease your token usage as you do not waste any tokens just thinking with the machine, because you do so with the free chat. So far we are making just little fixes here and there, making sure that everything in the existing UI is working as intended. You can see from these small fixes that our token usage did not increase even by 1%. With the small fixes out of the way, it is time to start making images. Since with the $30 subscription for Super Grok we get Grok Imagine, I just decided to use that and create these little PNG images which we can use for our application. In order to implement everything, I'm going to tell it to give me a complete list of all the assets it needs. And of course, we're going to need outlines for both the male and the female body. The lines look too thick and I don't really like how many lines it has. Now something like this is what I'm looking for. Okay, it's time to save what we made and get into GIMP so we can start cutting out individual pieces. This did take some time, so I would appreciate it if you like the video and subscribe for more. I saved the individual organs according to the Grok naming scheme, so it automatically recognizes them in the existing code. And when I was done with that, it was time to tell Grok to start implementing the new images and finally switch over from the old SVG model to the new PNG one. Okay, organs are in the approximate spaces, however it looks like a weird spaghetti monster. We need to fix that. If we take a look at the actual code, we can see that there is a system for positioning the individual pieces. However, we are missing the ability to scale them. Actually, we are able to scale them, but only together. As it's not good for us, we need to make it individual. Now we can scale them and position them individually, which is going to make this so much easier. By the way, Grok build does support images, and I could have given it the screenshot of this so it could position everything by itself. However, I thought it could be messy, so I decided to do it manually. It is a tedious process, which we fortunately only have to do once, and when we do it, we are done with it. Since mitochondria is part of the whole body, we are just going to put it here on the side, so it does not get too confusing. While making sure that everything is properly positioned, I noticed that the organs have an ugly glow around them. This looked much better back in the SVG version, so we are going to try to fix it and make it look good. It is always good to be as specific as possible so that AI knows exactly what to make. That looks so much better now. With the transparency and the proper glow, it really makes this model shine. And by the way, if you were wondering if it really is worth it to get the subscription instead of just using the API, you can see that we only used 2%. And for the finishing touches, it is time to implement the mobile UI. In the GitHub issue, I described exactly how I want it to look like and how I want it to behave. That is why my prompts here are really short, and I just tell it, hey, do this from this issue, and it goes, looks it up, and implements the changes. Finally, our character actually looks like a real human being instead of an alien. A nice and functional mobile UI, which allows us to use the application both on the desktop and the mobile phone. However, we still have a lot of work to do. We need to optimize it so it is not laggy on the phone, as it currently is, and implement many more features like pollutions and exposure, as well as blood and biomarkers.